No Time to Waste, Food Waste Prevention Strategies for Global Food Chains. That's the title I was assigned. It's a very good one. And I would say also one of my missions is really to work with the food supply chain and get the food supply chain working together. And looking at food waste is a perfect way of doing this. But back to... Hmm? No? I turn it, then it gets red. That one. Now, on the track. So, you have probably heard 1/3 of all food is lost or wasted globally, and that is the edible part of the food. And that, of course, is a moral dilemma. You throw away something that could have been eaten of people, and we need to produce more food. But it also call, is an enormous waste of resources. And the food we waste, it corresponds approximately about the GDP of Switzerland, or it's number 3 of the United States and after China when it comes to climate impact. That is what the wasted food corresponds to. And the blue water footprint is about the same as Lake Geneva. So that is something to think about when you talk about sustainable food production. This is what we throw away and not use. Food waste looks quite differently in different parts of the world. If you look at medium and high income countries, you could see we waste a lot more, but also the consumer waste really a lot of food compared to low income countries. And new data from EU suggests that about 70% of all food waste comes from the consumer and retail sector and the restaurants. So that is a whole lot. And food waste has also gained a lot of attention. It's a part of the Sustainable Development Goals. It's stated that we should decrease the food waste with 50% in the retail and consumer sector and significantly in all other parts of the food chain by 2030. And that is really indeed a challenge because we have a lot of work to do. And the first thing you have to look at, what are the drivers for food waste? What are the causes for food waste in different parts of the world? They are quite different. In low-income countries, it's often related to the infrastructure. It's related to they have poor cold chains. It's related to the transport. Bumpy roads could ruin tomatoes quite a lot. And also, when you the storage, how you store things. And if you look at the high and medium income countries, it's more related to the way how food looks. We don't really accept bananas with brown spots. They are sorted out. We leave food on the plates. We require shelves that are filled with huge selection of fruits and breads. And when the best before date becomes a little bit long, you take them away, give it to the pigs. And also both in developing countries and countries like Sweden, we leave a lot of food in the field. It could be of economical reasons, or it could be that we are not have difficulties taking all up with the technique we are using when we are harvesting. So this is a little schematic picture of the different types of where food waste occurs. As you see, in low-income countries, The consumer food waste is low, but it's high in the beginning of the food chain, and the opposite, for example, in Europe and the United States. And if we look at global food chains, in a product, you often have the problem you first waste a lot in the beginning of food chain, and then waste a lot when it comes to us. And because of this, we have started to look at the global food chains and their challenges. And within the SIANI, we have an expert group that this year have been looking at the challenges. How could we approach the global food chains? Because they are important, because about half of the food we eat is imported food. That you should keep in mind. And also, when it comes to tropical fruits, we eat about 25 to 30 kilos of tropical fruits a year per person in Sweden, and that is increasing. So how could we handle that in a responsible way? So the focus on the expert group has been, from a Swedish perspective, how can our way of managing global food chains from Sweden and our best practice and our knowledge support actors in low-income countries and contribute to less food waste in global food chains? And very, very quickly, it is so you know where the results are coming from. We started to look at the literature. We have had an online survey reaching out to different actors in the food chain. We have looked at the workshop, what is the problem, what are our knowledge gaps, and we are putting everything together now, and shortly there will be a report and a SIANI policy brief. So, what did we find out? Some of our few results. And that is from our interview. And I could say we covered both academia, business and business associations, non-governmental organizations, governmental representatives and municipalities. So we really got a diverse view from experts within the field. But what almost everybody agreed on was that we need to take a holistic approach, look at the whole food chain. We need to exchange experience and competences and technology, and we need to collaborate. Yes, that's easy to say. But there are quite a few barriers. There is a lack of information how the product has been handled and by whom. Normally, someone that's buying the food, they say that, okay, we know from where it comes. But then there are so many that handle the food in between, so it's really hard to know. So how could you ask for something when you don't know who to ask? And then you had an uneven distribution of cost and profits, and that has two sides. First of all, that means you have inequality in the food chain. And also, if somebody invests in preventing food waste, someone takes the profit. And that makes it difficult to motivate people to make a change if they don't get paid for it. And there is also a lack of resources to make a change because there are so many things you need to do, and that costs money. You need to find out so many things. So if you take it a step further, we asked, what are the solutions? What do you see in front of you? And what people listed, we got a long list. First of all, you need to start out really seriously with food waste management strategies. You need to measure, you need to find the causes and take action. And that is all along the food chain, because we do not know really how much we waste. We don't know why, and we don't know really what is the root cause. What is the reason we could see that, okay, we waste because we need to throw away the bananas or the avocados because they are hurt. But why are they? When did it happen? It maybe happened further steps upstreams in the food chain. we need to start to communicate with each other, ask each other in the food chain. Uh, okay, we have waste at this step. Uh, what could you do? Or we would like you to handle the food in this way. Would that be possible? We need education organizations because the farmers, in particular in low-income countries, the smallholders, they are poor. They are not well educated, and by educating them, they could perform better, and there will be less food waste. And by supporting them and organizing them, they will be stronger and have a voice to communicate with the rest of the food chain. Certifications. That is a way to communicate all along the chain, but that is also something that drives a change, an improvement, and the farmer gets money back. And then it's asked for support for investment because there are so many knowledge gaps, so it's really hard to get started. Policy interventions. Yes, it could be, for example, that the sector coming from the industry say, okay, we agree to work in this way with our suppliers and with our providers. And it could be national policies setting the frame. This is the way we should work. And we have the following program. I think both are important. New business models. One has been suggested in whole crop purchase. That, for example, a retailer order everything that is produced in a field. It could be in the format of fresh fruits. It could be in the format of a jam. So you really don't need to get into the situation that things are sorted out and left and not bought because you have quality problems or it doesn't look as it's supposed to look. And then good examples and inspirations. And that we have collected, and those will be shared in the report. But basically, we have a set of different solutions, really to get all our fruits to us in a responsible way with little food waste. And there are solutions directed toward the global food chains. And examples like that is the fair trade, that is working with the farmers, providing support for the farmers to uh, become better, and there is getting paid. So that will indirectly provide you with less or will give less food waste. But there are also uh, the way the big retailers work with the farmers in the developing countries. One example is the Tesco that found out that they had a tremendous loss when it comes to green beans because they were trimming them in both ends. But just trimming them in one end and packing them a little bit differently, they could reduce the waste with 30%. And the farmers got better paid and the consumers were happy. So that is another example. And one thing that is we talk a lot about is also unfair trading practices, late cancellations, that, okay, we don't need this much fruit. We cancel the order, and that causes a lot of problems. And in the UK, they have what you have in, could say in Sweden, ombudsman, that the farmer could go to and say, okay, this was not fair, and the retailer could get fined. And then we have solutions in Swedish food chain having a direct impact on global food chains. That is, we could take technology like exporting our knowledge in cold chain. You could have sensors keeping the temperature all along the food chain. You, there are a lot of innovative packages that could be helpful. All this knowledge you could export and which will give a product with a better quality and most likely less food waste. And then we have a lot of good examples that are more local, like how you work together with a charity. organizations for food that is not eaten. In the long run, the communication could not be bad, but maybe it has not a direct impact on the global food chains. All this will be in the report, and the report will be ready by the end of November. And that is the end of this expert group on food waste, but we will still be there for service if you need our knowledge. And to you, food waste reduction has become a global movement, but it is still a long way to go. And you all are needed as ambassadors for this important mission. And that is really important. As it is now, there are many, many engaged people, but it's not business as usual. So when those people step back, I believe if it's not taking over our policymakers, we will have a problem. We need to get it in the mainstream.